So I did something crazy and I went out and bought the cheapest Red Komodo OG on YouTube. So today we're going to be looking at my recent purchase, which is this Red Komodo OG that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace last week, and this is my first impressions video. I've shot a little bit of footage and then one short on this camera so far, so it's a very early impression video, but I thought I would put this out there just because I'm kind of the guy that does inexpensive cameras from a long time ago, and why would I go ahead and buy a more recent cinema camera, especially a fairly expensive cinema camera. So yeah, let's take a look at my first impressions of the Komodo 6K OG. I've been shooting for the past close to a year with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera OG, which has been a fantastic camera, and I have no intention of not shooting with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera OG going forward. It's something that's still very much in my arsenal, and in the form factor that I use it in, which is like basically broken down, not rigged out at all, just basic camera with a lens. It's fantastic. It's something that you can throw into your hoodie pocket or a jacket pocket and you can take wherever you want to go, and it's a fantastic walk around everyday carry cinema camera, which still has a role for what I do. Why then would I go out and buy the Red? First of all, I wasn't really even in the market for a Red. I look on Facebook Marketplace. I'm always checking it out because I know Komodo prices have been coming down ever since the Komodo X was released about a year ago. So I definitely look at the Komodo. I've seen it pop up multiple times, and I'm lucky because the market I'm in the Vancouver, BC market, it's a big filmmaker community, so there's a lot of really great equipment available all the time on Marketplace. So I have seen Komodos pop up, and they're generally in the sort of $5,000, $6,000 Canadian range, usually with some accessories in that $6,000 Canadian range. What happened to make me jump on the Komodo was an ad came up a couple weeks ago for a Komodo OG for 3,000 Canadian dollars. So 3,000 Canadian dollars is roughly 2,200 US dollars. So definitely, as far as I've seen, the cheapest Komodo OG that I've seen. That's been on YouTube anyways. I've never seen anyone talk about a rig or a purchase that low. So at first I was a little bit concerned because the seller was, although he had a great Facebook profile, was clearly obviously a real person, all of his previous marketplace interactions had taken place overseas. So generally when these type of ads pop up locally, there's questions like, is this maybe a mistake in the geography? Because he didn't look like a scammer, but he also didn't look like he was particularly local. So I reached out to the seller, probably one of the earlier people to reach out to him, said, look, I'm interested in your Komodo. Where are you located? I'm located, and I told him the locality, the municipality that I'm in, which is adjacent to Vancouver. And he said, look, I've got someone interested in it right now. If that falls through, I'll let you know. And then immediately after that exchange, he bumped the price up to 4,000 Canadian. And as soon as I saw that he had changed the price up to 4,000 Canadian, I was like, I I'm not sure if I'm super interested, because there was a couple issues with the camera. Number one, it came with no accessories other than just what came out of the box. So it came with an RF to EF adapter, and it came with a red power supply, like a, just external, or sorry, wall power supply, and that was it. So nothing, no media, no batteries, nothing, no rig, nothing. So it was bare bones, and that was, that was fine. And then, but then the other major issue, and this is what contributed to being a low price, was that he mentioned that the SDI had been fried. Within about probably an hour, he comes back to me and said, yeah, it's fallen through. If you're interested, you could have it. And I said, okay, I would like to buy it, but at the original price of $3,000. And then to that response, he didn't reply for many hours, probably close to about 8 hours before he replied. And when he replied, he said, okay, sure, you can have it for the $3,000, but I just want you to know that the SDI has been fried out of it. And I said, yes, I understand that. I read that in your ad, and I'm still interested. So then we decided to meet the next day. So I ended up talking to him for a little while. He's a fairly experienced director of photography, and he was looking for work in the area. I gave him some ideas on connections and Facebook groups that I'm involved in, and paid him the $3,000 and took the Komodo. So that was how I acquired it. And then in order to get it up and running, of course, I needed to order a few things. So I bought 512 gigabyte Angelbird CFast 2.0 card. That was about $500 after tax Canadian. And then I bought a V-mount battery and a V-mount plate, just a simple small rig V-mount plate. And so I'll show you, basically that's the battery there. Got it for about $140, which was on sale. It's usually around 200. Got the plate for about $50, and I got a cable that goes from P-tap to, or D-tap to the Komodo 2-pin LEMO connection. And I already had the top handle and the small rig base plates and the rails, and I already had the small rig Magic Fizz wireless focus puller and focus motor. I have two of these focus motors. So I already had that, and then I ended up picking up this Tilta cage that came with the handle, side rig, and top rail and bottom plates. So, and this cage has built-in NATO rails. So the NATO rails, I can mount the focus puller, and the handle. The handle came with it as well. So all in, I'm at about 4,000 Canadian, which is roughly 3,000 US dollars. I also have a matte box that can fit onto this. So this is the matte box I have. I don't normally use this matte box because I don't have a lot of filters for it, but I'd like to get into the filters so that it's easier to switch lenses. But you can see that that's a pretty dope looking setup. And then I've got just this little phone holder that I can use to attach my phone to it for monitoring and controlling the camera. So that's the story of how I got the cheapest Komodo OG on Facebook Marketplace and YouTube, as far as I can tell. Now, first impressions of the Komodo. Well, it's fantastic. It's an awesome camera, and it's a different level. The Komodo is definitely just that next step up. It's in the league of the true professional cinema camera market. I mean, it's not an extremely expensive camera, but the way that it operates is very, very true to like the workflow of a true cinema camera. And the thing that I love the most about it is the traffic light exposure system, which I knew a little bit about that going into the Komodo, but really I didn't fully understand how that worked. I knew that there was this exposure system that was built into the camera, but I didn't understand it completely. And you know, I'm still learning, but oh wow, what a great exposure system. When you get into a Komodo, it's a completely different game in terms of using ISO. So on most cameras, there's a base ISO. With the Komodo, there is no base ISO. So what you do is when you set your ISO, basically what you're doing is you're shifting the dynamic range either higher to retain highlight detail. So if you push the ISO up, you're moving the dynamic range that the Komodo can see and capture up, and so you're capturing more highlight detail. And if you reduce the ISO, you're capturing a little bit more shadow detail. But you can modify the ISO in post, like that's something within Davinci Resolve. You can go in with the R3D red raw files. You can modify color temperature and ISO after the fact in post-production. So it's that next step up. What I found is it grades so easily. Like you just slap your basic conversion LUT on it, and it's like real life color. Like it's so simple. Now, when you're getting into different lighting situations and that type of thing, you have a ton of flexibility on how you grade. But when right out of the box, the colors and the dynamic range, it just looks fantastic. So, of course, I mean, you're paying for that. Komodo, I think, would shine more in narrative, and it would do really well in controlled situations where you have control over the lighting and you have a very purposeful workflow. That's what I intend to use it for, is more purposeful, intentional work, narrative work, and that type of thing. So for that purpose, I couldn't be happier. But yeah, so that's the cheapest OG Komodo on YouTube. Not clickbait. I mean, unless someone else has one, this is a complete build for 4,000 Canadian dollars. So a complete build, a complete rig and build for 3,000 US dollars, roughly. And if anybody else has a cheaper Komodo, OG Komodo, I would love to see a video about it, because I can't imagine getting anything cheaper than that. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.